the main event.
And welcome back to Retro Wrestling Games Presents. I'm your host, Juan Cena, and with me this evening, once again, is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm okay. I'm your host. Not sure about that.
I'm trying to be catchy. I don't know. On this episode, we're going to take a look at Konami's The Main Event. And this was for the arcade. It was developed and published by Konami, released in 1988. In Japan, this game is called The King of the Ring. This game is interesting to me. This is one of the games that, when you talk about retro wrestling games in general with people, this is one of the games that come up due to its nostalgia factor. Again, this game was in arcades everywhere. So a lot of people are very nostalgic about this game. So one of the things that's interesting right off the bat is the oversized action button. Essentially flash yellow when you're supposed to do a move. So it's timing based. This one action button did everything though. So you didn't really have a whole lot of control of what you were doing. It would be the computer dictating based on your timing of when you press this oversized button. This game is very much a button masher. Pinning is essentially difficult, so you have to smash that action button. And in a lot of cases, arcades would report that this button would get busted. It would break because you would have to hit it so fast and hit it so hard for it to actually work when it's supposed to. Now, in terms of the positives of this game, sound, music, fantastic. Graphics, decent for the time. Sprite's a little small. Especially when you compare it to like a game like WWF Superstars or WrestleFest, so the sprites are a little small, but that's okay. It is what it is. The negatives of this game, right off the bat, are the controls. They're not as responsive as you would need them to be in terms of wrestling games. So even when it comes to moving around the ring, that could be a tedious process. Obviously, using the one button, you don't have control of what maneuvers that you're pulling off and what have you. So it's like, what are you gonna do? Also, I guess it depends if you want to call this a negative or a positive, but like we mentioned on this show in the past, in Japan, they don't give a shit about your intellectual property. Fuck your copyright. They essentially just use sprites and pictures of actual wrestlers, so exceedingly egregious on this one. It's like, they gave no shits. So, the roster is as follows. You have Saturn 6, Bigfoot Joe, Alan the Empire, El Condor, the Maui Mauler, Kamikaze Ken, San Antonio Smasher, and Conan the Great. So, who are these guys? So, Conan the Great is Hulk Hogan. Like, it's Hulk Hogan with white hair, and they gave no shit, right? The San Antonio Smasher is Koko Beware. They didn't even change nothing. Kamikaze Ken, Ricky Steamboat. Again, they didn't change nothing.
The Dragon.
Saturn 6, it's someone that resembles someone from Demolition, or to me it looks like more like Powers of Pain, personally. Bigfoot Joe, King Kong Bundy, but with orange hair, which is like someone did it in Microsoft fucking Paint. Alan the Empire is Andre the Giant, but with red hair and he has a beard. El Condor, could be generic luchador. Most people say it looks like El Connect or what have you. The Maui Mauler kind of looks like Tama from the Islanders. I guess what they were going for on that. So again, they're like, nope, we don't give a shit. We're Konami. Fuck you. We're gonna have Hulk Hogan in our video game. And rumor has it that this game was pulled from arcades because the WWF came in and was like, hey, you're using our IPs here. What the fuck? So whether that's true or not, that's what's been reported from time to time. So, although this game was re-released in 2013 on the Xbox 360, part of Microsoft Game Room. So, what are you gonna do? Again, overall, this game is solid. Again, I know a lot of people love this game. I do not. My thumbs and my fingers still hurt from playing this game. I had to do it on the Xbox controller because I had to use the emulator for this. But to me, it's like, I guess average at best, mediocre at best, perhaps. So Matt, I know you had a lot of experience playing this game back in your day. What are your thoughts on the main events?
This was a quarter eater, and it was...
Fuck yeah, it was.
But there was a trick. If you played with other people and battled to a double count out, and you didn't lose all your energy, you could keep battling.
Really?
So we would just fight around ringside for like 10 minutes. And it was a loophole. It was just, for whatever reason, you could get your bar down, but you would kind of pick up a little bit if you just didn't go all the way down. But it was awesome. We'd have brawls, and we got really good at it. I remember for a while we were pretty damn good. But it was a fun game to play that I liked. Again, I know it's for a copyright nightmare, but it was fun to play that way. I used to love using Molly Mauler and Steamboat. I thought we called them Pacific Connection. You know, it was like oh yeah, of course. And we would just have fun. And my friend Brian was amazing at Mortal Kombat.
Right.
So this was my game. He was Mortal Kombat. But I got really, really good at tapping the buttons really fast. So that was my little skill. Otherwise, I would just,
I wish they did release the Japanese version here, and the Japanese version did have that like actual real buttons for this game. I really do wish they released it, but unfortunately they did not, and we had the fucking gimmick version. So again, the sound is great, the graphics decent. It's just the controls, and I'll say it. I've said it. I'll say it now, and I said it 1,000 times. When it comes to professional wrestling video games, gameplay trumps it all. And you gotta have spot-on, really good controls. I've seen games with really great graphics, really great sound, really great music, even great match types that have been completely crippled by poor controls. And in a wrestling game, you cannot afford to have poor controls. If you have poor controls, your game is gonna suck. It's just gonna suck. Just like WWF WrestleMania for the NES, that game fucking sucked. When people enjoy that game fucking sucks. The controls are shit. It's just the bottom line. But these are, this particular game, this is one of the games that you go in the arcade, you hear it, and you instantaneously recognize it.
The main event. Ding, ding, ding.
And you definitely, pumping a crap load of quarters into this game and really have a good time with it. So,
I would say this game, along with Nintendo Pro Wrestling, were two of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just because they were enjoyable, and granted, Nintendo Pro Wrestling was stupid. It was the more the fun of it, just trying to beat.
To be completely honest, the Black Box Pro Wrestling for the NES that came out was the standard in terms of wrestling video games until that's probably the best wrestling game to come out until Fire Pro. It was the king of the mountain for a very long time. And now some people will say Tecmo World Wrestling. That game is pretty good too. But I think Pro Wrestling on the NES was the top of the mountain. It was the first game. It was the first wrestling game to come out on Nintendo. But they kind of nailed it on that. And a lot of people who worked on that game worked on Fire Pro. So almost Pro Wrestling is the spiritual prequel to a lot of the Fire Pro games that we see throughout time and now today. Maybe this game is average at best. Nice little arcade game. You can get through it about 25 minutes if you're really good at it. If you're not, you can probably beat it in 30 minutes. Again, the good thing about emulators is that you have unlimited quarters, so you can get through the entire game. So, speaking of main events, I did want to talk briefly about Saturday night's main events. There's one show in particular that I want to talk about, and that was the main event. Now, the main event... Yeah, it's different. WWF main event. Now, this was a spin-off of Saturday night's main event. Now, these were historically on Fridays, and these were on prime time. There were 5 main event mega shows that they did throughout, its original run. The most important one, I think, might have been the first one. So this was February 5th, 1988, taking place from Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to quickly go through the dark matches. We didn't see these, but I think once we get to the actual matches that you saw on the show, I think Matt's going to know exactly what we're talking about here. So up first, we had Axe, who defeated Ken Patera in a singles match. We had Jake Roberts, who defeated Harley Race. Ron Bass, who defeated Coco Beware. The British Bulldogs defeated the Islanders. Jim Duggan defeated the One Man Gang. The Ultimate Warrior defeated Sika. These were all dark matches. The first match that you would see on television would be Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth, who defeated the Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart and Peggy Sue by countout. And the next match, Andre the Giant with Ted DiBiase and Virgil defeated Hulk Hogan to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. So
twins, right?
This is the twin referee angle.
Virgil grabbed his ankle. Referee sting. Here comes the Hulkster. Yes. Covering. 1, 2, 3,
No.
4.
Virgil's got the referee tied up. Dave Hebner is over there warning Virgil.
Give me a break. Come on, referee. Turn around. Hulkster had Andre the Giant pinned. 1, 2, 3. He had him from behind. Andre now, but maybe Lady Luck riding on his shoulders here tonight.
One headbutt. A second headbutt.
Andre spins a Hulkster around. Suplex right on top of him.
He's on him.
1. We get a 2. That's it. We don't got him.
He got him. He got him.
No, he didn't.
The referee counted 3. We've got a new world champion.
No, we don't either.
I told it, McMahon. I told you. I told the world that the Giant would win it.
No, sir. That can't be.
I don't ever want to hear you doubt me again, McMahon. Never, ever again.
Dave Hebner, the referee, is outside. He has the championship belt, I believe, in his hands. Hulkster's looking down at him. He can't believe it. He's saying it was only 2. He can't be giving the title to Andre. He can't be.
Hebner counted 3. In wrestling, you don't go by instant replays. This ain't football. It's the referee's decision.
I can't believe what a stupid mistake that was. I was just... I can't believe that.
The guy's only human, McMahon.
No,
He's just a referee.
He can't be. He's going to present it. He presents it to Andre. Raises his hand.
We have a new world champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout.
No.
And new World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, Andre the Giant.
That can't be.
There he is, the new world heavyweight champion. The myth of Hulk Hogan's over.
Wherever you are, the new World Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
This is no surprise. I told you I was going to win the World Tag Team Championship. And now, I surrender the World Tag Team Championship to Ted DiBiase.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Andre. What are you saying? You surrender the title to Ted
Yes,
DiBiase.
sir. And this is a new...
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Oh, I can't believe it, ladies and gentlemen.
Hulkster is coming over. He's coming after him. That referee made the stupidest decision. I can't believe it. $1 Million Man with a championship. That's not legal, I don't think.
I don't know. We'll have to wait with Jack Tunney on that one. I'm not sure if Andre could just give the championship away. But one thing's for certain, referee Dave Hebner made his decision. He's standing by it, and we have a new World Wrestling Federation
Wait a minute.
heavyweight
What's going
champion.
on in the ring? What is going on in the ring? Wait a minute. Is that Dave Hebner? Or is that Dave Hebner?
How could there be 2 Dave Hebners?
Look at these guys.
Wait a
They
minute.
look just alike. They look just alike.
The guy on the right's Hebner, isn't it? No,
The left is Hebner.
Wait, though. The guy on the right is.
Wait a minute. The Hulkster's coming over to figure out which the official referee assigned was a man by the name of Dave Hebner. I can't believe we're looking at 2 Dave Hebners. What's going on here?
There's 2
Come on,
Dave
Jesse.
Hebners.
What's going on? The Hulkster's trying to find out who the real Dave Hebner is. Who's the real Dave Hebner? You tell me, Jesse Ventura, and what is going on
I
here?
think it's the one on the left. I think the Dave Hebner. I don't know who the imposter is. Look at these 2.
Each one.
They look like identical twins.
They're shoving each other. Ooh, on the right hand. No, I can't believe it.
Well, that shows you who the Dave Hebner is.
Yeah. The one in the ring took the money. It had to be. There has to be some chicanery going on around here. Has to be something with $1 million man. I wonder what they did with the real Dave Hebner. I don't keep him out of
like this.
I don't believe that man's a legal official. Dave Hebner.
What are you
is a
talking
legal
about?
official.
He just did the match. How could he not be an official?
Hulk Hogan. And I don't know whether... Oh, wait a minute. Coming back. Oh, look at this. Whoever that man is, he's high above the air. The Hulkster knows. Look out. Oh. We'll be back with more of the main event and more World Wrestling Federation action.
Hulk Hogan, I'm sure there's going to be a thorough investigation by the World Wrestling Federation into what happened here tonight, and I know you could not be any more disappointed.
How much money did they spend on the plastic surgery, man? I had all bases covered. I had the Hulkamaniacs watching DiBiase. I had Virgil in his place. Never in my wildest dreams, Mean Gene, would I think that I would get ripped off by a penny pinching two-timing referee. How much money on the plastic surgery? How much money did he spend to pay the referee off? When I turned around, Mean Gene, they were identical. Identical.
Right here, Hulk. Here it is now.
Shoulder, brother. Look at the shoulder.
That's it.
The referee is paid off, brother. Look at the $100 bill falling out of his
I
pocket.
know you're disappointed. Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura back.
Well, let's set up a couple things. It got up. This show is important because it's Hulk Hogan losing the WWF Championship. So he loses it to Andre the Giant. They had the fake referee who counted to 3 when Hogan's shoulder was clearly up. And then Andre takes the belt and hands it over to Ted DiBiase. Again, probably the biggest moment since Hogan body slamming Andre, right? Since the previous year, right? It was super important. Hulk Hogan will go off to shoot No Holds Barred, one of the greatest movies of all time. And then they had the tournament for WrestleMania 4 with Savage winning the championship. Now, there was a lot of controversy regarding this show and what have you. First and foremost, rumor would state that Randy Savage is supposed to defeat the Honky Tonk Man and win the Intercontinental Championship at this show. But Honky Tonk Man refused to do the job. That's what he says. So it was turned to a countout instead. So they changed the finish of that match. So, realistically, you could have had 2 title changes on the show. You had 3 championship matches in general. The main event, technically, was Strikeforce, who defeated the Hart Foundation with Jimmy Hart. But that Savage thing is different. Is interesting because, from what I understand, right, what's been said out there. Again, we don't know, unless you're Vince. But this is what Honky says. This is what Ted DiBiase says, right? So I gotta assume that it's legitimate. There's other people who refute this, but when you have the actual guys, that's what it is. Let's go back from the beginning. Dick Ebersol. People know who Dick Ebersol is. Big wig at NBC, right? He was a producer for Saturday Night Live for a while, was in charge of NBC Sports, and I think it was one of Vince's mentors in terms of how production works. Because once he saw Dick Ebersol get involved, you see the production values in the WWF skyrocket. That's a big deal. Now, Dick Ebersol loved Randy Savage and Elizabeth. And he wanted to do the whole thing where Elizabeth, is on Randy's shoulders and he has the belt, and he wanted that visual for this show. Doesn't necessarily make sense in terms of anything, giving Randy back the IC Championship from a booking perspective, no. Right. Especially what we know moving forward, especially if you're going to do you're going to set up a Hogan Savage feud in the following year. I'm assuming they had that, in front of mind, especially when they turn a babyface. They knew they were going to turn him back heel. So it doesn't necessarily make any sense from a booking perspective to have Macho win the IC belt here, especially if you're going to do the tournament at WrestleMania 4.
Right.
Now, there's also been a lot of rumors about WrestleMania 4. Some people say that Ted DiBiase was supposed to win it. People claim, Bam Bam Bigelow claims that he was supposed to win it, but he had a knee injury. Yeah. He had a knee injury. That's why his match is so fucking short on that show. You don't really see him back. He leaves in the summer, but you don't really see him back after that. So they were going to move forward with Ted DiBiase with the championship for how long? I don't know. It could have been the main event of SummerSlam. Would have been Hulk Hogan versus Ted DiBiase. Maybe Hogan wins back the belt. I don't know what they were thinking. In the same time, they're doing a Mega Powers thing too with Randy versus Honky, because people forget that Randy and the Honky Tonk Man were main eventing the shows that Hogan weren't on.
Yes.
So that was the main, like, they main evented Madison Square Garden everywhere. They were selling out fucking everywhere. That's a big fucking feud. And a lot of people, would look at Hong Kong Man and think he's a joke. Like, oh, fuck, he's a jobber. Like, that motherfucker was fucking over. And people were paying a lot of money to come see him get beat up by the Macho Man.
Right.
So to me, that's a really big deal. But again, I think it changes kind of the dynamics here. What if they gave Ted DiBiase a long title run? Maybe he held it to WrestleMania 5. We don't know. It seemed kind of weird that he would buy the championship, although it's in his character to do so. They did that angle in Georgia with Xavier Zbyszko and Killer Tim Brooks. Not too long before that. Like, we've seen that before, yeah. That's not something that's necessarily all that new. But I was wondering how it changed the booking for WrestleMania 4. We all know they wanted to do another Hogan versus Andre match at WrestleMania 4. But we got a double DQ on that fucking match, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, Andre was failure to walk. I mean,
like, what's the blow off? The blow off for Andre Hogan has to be the SummerSlam '88. Like, that's the blow off.
yeah.
It sure the fuck wasn't this fucking show. It wasn't the show at WrestleMania, so they got like another big payday at SummerSlam '88 when they did the tags. But I think that's the reason they had to have him in tags, because he didn't do much of anything singles wise. He had some matches with Hacksaw. He had some matches with Warrior.
Jake, right?
He had the feud with Jake.
Bobby, Snake, Bobby.
Drop, no. Right hand, no. Oh, look at that.
DDT, and he did it.
DDT. Rude has to be out like a light. And what's Bobby Heenan doing? He was up. The tights are coming down.
Look how stupid Roberts is. Instead of going for the pin, he went after the tights, and Heenan forced to interfere.
Forced to interfere. This match is going to result in this. That's who he was. Heenan was waving for Andre the Giant to come down in ringside. That's who he was waving at just a moment ago.
I want to see how Jake handles this situation, McMahon.
Bobby Heenan's going to be in trouble here. Heenan now on one leg.
Hurry up, Andre.
Andre coming in. The match officially over, and Andre starting to hammer when that's not fair. Andre is 500 pounds. He's 7 feet and 4 inches tall. Look, headbutt, crushing headbutt.
And Snake's out on the floor where he belongs, looking like a snake.
Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan concerned as to the physical well-being of ravishing Rick Rude. Rude suffering the DDT, and anytime any man goes down as a result of a DDT,
You can look for serious neck injury. He could be knocked unconscious.
wait a minute, Jake back up on his feet. He's coming back into the ring. And look what he had.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Heenan stepped to the outside.
You think Damien's ready for a giant?
I don't know. Look at this. What's going on here? Andre is not moving in. Andre normally would be attacked. Is he backing off? Well, wait a minute. Andre the Giant with his hand outstretched. I'm not too sure. He may not want to have anything at all to do with Jake and Damien. Andre looking down at Bobby. He doesn't like that at all, I think he said. Andre yelling for Bobby. Yelling for Heenan. I've never seen this before. Oh, wait a minute. Jesse, I think he's afraid. Yes, he's terrified. I didn't think the Giant was afraid of anything. Andre the Giant looks like he's terrified of that snake. Look at this.
I wouldn't have believed it, McMahon.
Andre backing off. Jake the Snake taunting Andre the Giant with that python, Damien. Moving, oh no, it's all around the Giant, look at this. Damien the Snake clutching, it's choking Andre the Giant. Andre going down.
You know, this is horrible, McMahon. I've said it before. There's no place for stuff like this in the world of wrestling.
Andre the Giant down on the canvas and Jake putting Damien all over him. Andre clutching his chest. Andre is just terrified. He's terrified of the snake. Jake back over and putting Damien. Oh no, look at this. Down in the crotch area.
I can't believe how sadistic Jake is. It's obvious
Andre's
now.
out. Jesse, Andre is unconscious. He's been scared to death, or he's scared unconscious. Look at this. He is unconscious. Jake the Snake Roberts with Damien in hand, and he and Damien have really done a job on Andre the Giant. Andre came down and interfered, and there, Damien triumphant,
He had did the heart attack angle on Saturday's main event, which is ridiculous. He fucking just killed him. But Andre, nowhere near the main event after SummerSlam '88. He wins the tag titles with Haku, and he drops into WrestleMania 6, and that's basically his last appearance for the most part for Andre. But I'm just curious about, what are your thoughts about giving Ted DiBiase a title run in general, but a long title run at this time in 1988?
Oh, I think he should have had one. I mean, there's a lot of guys that went through their doors that should have had a title run.
Yeah, there's 30 guys. Piper.
Yeah, like Piper comes to mind.
Jake.
But I think part of it at the time is that we had been set up for a long time, for years, to view, at least in the WWF, the world title doesn't change hands every couple of years. It's like stays on the champ for a while.
Yeah. Well, when Warrior had it, I mean, his run was shitty.
Yeah.
But even like Randy Savage had a short run compared to the guys that preceded him as a babyface. He had a year.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Hogan, Backlund, and Bruno, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The heels always got short runs. So, like, your Iron Sheiks got short runs, You just, Stan Stasiak, short run. Ivan Koloff, short runs. Their faces historically had really, really long runs. And Hogan had it from, 84, 4 years, 84 to 88. So... that's a good chunk of time there. So I'm curious about what was the initial plan moving forward. Again, wrestling was so different. Like, they did a lot where they planned out way in advance for shit. So I know they had the Hogan Savage feud in their back pocket as soon as they turned Savage babyface. Like, that was happening. So I'm curious about what they would have done with the belts. Like, if Savage would have won the belt here, I don't think we get an Ultimate Warrior IC run. Or we might see Savage with Rude, which I think is a feud that they never did in WWF. They did it in Memphis, but they didn't do it in WWF. Imagine Rude like gyrating his hips at Elizabeth. Oh my fucking god! They kind of did it. They kind of did it with Jake, where Rude was lusting after Jake's wife. But I'm sorry, but that's not, Jake and his wife is not Macho and Elizabeth. You know what I mean?
No.
And their matches would have been fucking phenomenal. Rude versus Savage would have been amazing. Rude is really coming to his own. Rude was shitty for a while. Let's be honest. Like, this is when he started to get it. Like, you can say, like, he started doing a lot better in Crockett. Like, especially when he's teaming up with, like, Manny Fernandez. But if you watch, like, Mid-South, Rick Rude, even some of the Memphis stuff, Rick Rude is like, like, he's not all that great. But by the time he's carrying the Ultimate Warrior to fantastic matches, it's like, all right, he finally fucking got it. He's fucking amazing. But I don't think we get that Warrior title run. I wonder what they're going to do with Warrior at that point. Because I think that IC title win that he had at SummerSlam '88 really kind of launched him. Because it was like he came in and fucking smoked Honky Tonk Man. No one could beat Honky Tonk Man. He was always finding a way out, slip on banana peel, get counted out. Like, he would hold on to the belt, and the Warrior came and fucking demolished him.
Yeah.
Like, they really put a lot of fucking effort into fucking Warrior. Like, he was beating Andre the Giant in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It was like, people still talk shit about, like, oh, look at Roman Reigns' push. Like, look at the fucking Ultimate Warrior's push. Yeah, he's demolishing fucking Andre the Giant and fucking body slamming him 3 times the match. He's not giving a shit. That's a fucking push. But unfortunately for the Ultimate Warrior, it's just he burned out fucking quick.
Yeah.
Like, he's done. He's like, the last quarter of his WWF title run, he is the 6th man in a 6-man feud that involves Demolition and the Legion of Doom. Like, that's your world champion. He's like buried in a 6-man feud. Like, not doing anything.
Sorry.
Like, he's having matches with, like, DiBiase, he's having matches with Savage, but he's, in terms of angle, that's what he's doing. Right after, he beats Rude at SummerSlam 90, and that's what he's doing. So it's like, they got him up, and then he ascended, and then he descended extremely quickly, unfortunately. Now, the next main event, this one was the following year. This was February of 1989. Only 2 matches on the show that aired on television, but I'll go through the dark matches here real fast. Dark matches was Andre the Giant, who defeated Jake Roberts. The Rougeau brothers, who defeated the Hart Foundation. The Ultimate Warrior defeated Greg Valentine. Demolition defeated the Powers of Pain. The Brainbusters defeated the Rockers. Brutus Beefcake wrestled Mr. Perfect to a double disqualification. Jim Duggan defeated Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin in the flag match. But the matches that aired... Frenchie Martin. The matches that aired was the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth, who defeated the Twin Towers of Akeem and the Big Boss Man with Slick. Now, to me, what's memorable about that match is the fucking bump Miss Elizabeth takes in that fucking match. When fucking Akeem fucking tosses Macho and he lands on top of her. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, oh, that looked stiff as hell. And then did the whole thing where they're arguing in the back after the match, and apparently, what people say, they were legitimately having an argument in the back, and they just like said, they just like action, and like they're legitimately in a fucking argument, like for real.
If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, you wouldn't be in that spot right there. You wouldn't be in that spot right now. You understand that? What the heck is wrong with you, man? What do you mean what the heck? Why did you leave me out there? No, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What is you knocked her down, man. I know it's an accident. Hey, listen, let me tell you something about Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Let me tell you something about Hulkamania. Yeah, Macho Man, this is tough. You're wrong, man. You're wrong. No, you're way out of line. No, you're on. You're out of line. And let me tell you why you're out of line. You got jealous eyes right there. Right there, you're looking at me with jealous eyes because you're a former champion. Hulkamania is just in the win. I was carrying you. I'm not number 3 in the Mega Powers. I'm number 1. You guys got me in the backseat. You're way out of line, man. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. No, just slow down, man. Hold on, slow down. Wait a minute. No, you're way out of line. Man to man, you never asked me for a title shot. You know why? You know why, Elizabeth? Because you can't beat me. You're wrong. No, you can't. Man, don't touch me. You can't beat me. No, you didn't come at me like a man. You're jealous because I'm the World Wrestling Federation champion now, and I'm going to be a long time from now. No, you didn't wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. No, I'm going to tell you what you're wrong about more than anything else. No, I'm going to tell you what you're wrong about more than anything else. I can take anything, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Those eyes right there, those eyes lust Elizabeth. You understand that? You got my face. You got lust for Elizabeth right there. And I'm going to tell you, it makes me sick. I can't even stand to look at you. You turn my guts into it. If you wanted to come at me man to man for the belt, I would beat you 1, 2, 3. That would be okay. Try and talk some sense into this guy, man. Try and talk some sense to me. Oh, big time. Oh, God. Want to be a champion? Want to feel what the madness is all about? Get out of the way! Okay, I'm going to splatter you right on him. I'm going to splatter you right on him. Get out of the way!
No! Somebody get the help out here! Somebody stop that idiot!
I understand that. Okay, Hulk Hogan.
What are you talking about?
I want to see what the Macho Man's all about right here, brother. Oh, God. Crown and chip. What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Brutus,
Somebody get him out of here! Get him out of here! Somebody get him out of here! Don't worry, Hulk, you'll be all right. Randy, cool it! Cool it! Randy, cool it! Now you get out of here, Randy! Now you cool it! You cool it! I'll get out of here because I want to get out of here! Somebody get Savage out of here!
That's awesome.
So that's why it was so fucking intense.
That's again, yeah. It's one of the best moments in wrestling.
Big time.
Legit.
Like I'm a big mark for the Hulk Hogan Randy Savage feud. Like I love that feud. I love that angle. It played to perfection.
Well, again, and it goes back to the idea that any great villain believes what they're saying. It's not just they're not just saying it to do it. And Savage, he was the jealous monster, and that's who he was.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Again, that angle leads to WrestleMania 5, where you have the Mega Powers explode, and Hogan and Savage basically a feud for the following year before he goes to Warrior and then transitions to Earthquake. That angle is probably the best produced angle, and probably in the history of professional wrestling. I don't think anything beats it. I don't know a feud that tops it. Like people are gonna say like Austin McMahon, and I guess they have a point, but if you want to put that number 2, go right ahead. But it's still Hogan and Savage number 1 to me.
I think Hogan Savage had the exclamation point, and Austin McMahon, like when Savage turned on Hogan, that was a really amazing moment.
Yeah.
When it it's me, Austin. You were like rolling your eyes, like, okay. Like, it wasn't the same effect. It was a different type of feud. Did that feud end up setting the course for wrestling for a long way? Absolutely. But you also had, in Hogan and Savage, two of the best performers, with a believable storyline that people were invested in. I mean, if you put for example, tomorrow night's NXT TakeOver, we have Gargano, Ciampa 3 or 4, for the title.
Right.
And was Aleister Black legit hurt? Is that what happened?
I don't know if I'm not even 100% sure if that was an angle or it was like he's injured, so they took him out.
Right. I'm thinking it doesn't make sense to do that the next day.
Right.
But whatever. The only reason I think it might be a work is they did so much of if you watch the episode of, well, it could be this person, it could be that person, to give you that feeling of
like you go back into doing the right thing when someone gets an injury, you work it into the storyline. Like they haven't done that in a long time, at least well. Like, someone gets an arm injury and then you have someone break their arm in the ring and they're out for 6 months and then they come back looking for revenge. Right? That doesn't happen very often in modern wrestling. It's just something they don't do for whatever reason, like they should. But I think Savage and Hogan probably the best feud of that era. I put that above Hogan Andre too. Which a lot of people are like, no. But no, I put it above Hogan Andre. In the final match of that evening, we had Teddy DiBiase who defeated Hercules.
Yeah.
That's when Hercules was trying to get his freedom because he was a slave, which is weird.
All right, on this special occasion, I have an opportunity this week to talk to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, along with his distinguished colleagues who are present this week. And in weeks past, Mr. DiBiase, you have teased, you have taunted, you have boasted about a special new possession that you have acquired. And I'm very curious. I'd like to get some more details from you on this subject.
Okerlund, from the first day I set foot in the World Wrestling Federation, I said it, and I proved it time and time again. Everything and everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man. You've seen the things that I've bought. People kissing my feet, wiping the sweat off my body. I have cars, I have boats, I have planes. You name it, I've got it. Now, Okerlund, I have made the biggest purchase of my entire life. I have something that nobody else in the world has.
All right, Ted DiBiase, without further explication, let's not get into the details. What in the world have you acquired? What is this newfound possession?
What it is, Okerlund, is something that throughout the history of mankind, few men have had the money to own and fewer men have owned. And today, nobody has what I've purchased, but I have it. I have it bought and paid for. Bobby Heenan, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very, very much. It's all here?
Every penny.
What are you talking about here, Ted DiBiase? Be precise.
What I'm talking about, Okerlund, is I have purchased, I have bought and paid for my own personal slave.
Slave, wait a minute. This is 1988. What are you talking about, slave? Let's hear about it.
What am I talking about? You've seen the things that I own, the things that I bought. I've purchased the greatest bodyguard that a man can buy. I have purchased the greatest managerial advice that money can buy. And I even have at my disposal, at a price, a giant. And what am I talking about? Read my lips, I didn't stutter. I bought my own slave.
Your own slave. Just who might this slave be?
Well, Hercules.
Now, wait a minute, gentlemen.
What the hell is he talking about?
Trust me, don't worry about it. Remember, hey, Sarah, whatever will be, will be.
This is supposed to go down, Bobby.
The party's over.
No. Bobby, the party's over. It's supposed to go down.
The new position you have right now is something, buddy, something that you've earned.
No!
Gentlemen, please! Oh, please! What are you doing?
Now, Hercules, learn your position. Take your first lesson of being the slave of the $1 Million Man. You don't talk. You don't walk. You don't speak. You don't put your hands on anybody unless I give you permission to. Do you
can't believe Hurt's got it in him. Virgil goes flying, and that leaves only 2 on the platform. Hercules does not want to be a slave. DiBiase, Virgil, turning for cover. Hercules has declared himself. You know, I think that's really the first bad purchase I've seen the $1 Million Man make. Hercules has declared himself.
Main event 3, dark matches are as follows. Earthquake defeated Ronnie Garvin. Dusty Rhodes defeated Mr. Perfect. Ted DiBiase defeated Jake the Snake Roberts. The Colossal Connection, Andre Giant Haku defeated Demolition Axe and Smash. Bad News Brown defeated Tito Santana. Rick Martel defeated Brutus Beefcake. Roddy Piper wrestled Rick Rude to a double disqualification. And in the shows that aired on television, you had Hulk Hogan defeated Randy Savage. This was for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, and Buster Douglas was the special guest referee. Now, it was supposed to be Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was actually promoted and advertised to be at the show, but they changed it when he lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Buster Douglas. So they made a deal with Buster Douglas instead. And then the final match of that evening, we had the Ultimate Warrior who defeated Dino Bravo with Jimmy Hart and Earthquake. Now this was setting up WrestleMania 6. And then next up we had main event number 4, which looked shitty to me. This one had the Ultimate Warrior who defeated Ted DiBiase by disqualification. I think this is the one where Savage attacks Warrior with the scepter and comes off the top. Then you had Mr. Perfect, who defeated Big Boss Man by countout, and Rick Martel, who defeated Tito Santana, which I assume was the blow-up for that feud, but I don't think they really mentioned it. And then the final main event, and it's final for a reason, this was February 1st, 1991. Hulk Hogan and Tugboat defeated Earthquake and Dino Bravo. Jim Duggan defeated Sergeant Slaughter with General Agnon. This was a title match. And the Legion of Doom defeated the Orient Express, Kato and Tanaka with Mr. Fuji. This was the last and final episode of the main event. But this show was memorable because they announced that Hulk Hogan was the #1 contender for Sergeant Slaughter's championship at WrestleMania 7. So that's the main events. Again, this was a show that was a spin-off of Saturday's main events. The quality of some of these shows. I wish the WWE would release some of these dark matches. Some of these dark matches seem to be fucking awesome. I'm assuming they taped them since they taped the whole show. So I wonder if they've been released on any kind of compilations or best ofs or super tapes and stuff. So I like to see some of these matches, like especially like the Jake Roberts versus Harley Race match. That looks really good. There's a Brainbusters versus the Rockers on here. So I think overall, this is the main event, the WWF main event. Not to confuse with the TV show, the main events, by the way, that they have. This was actually the legit main event. So But overall, when it comes to the main event video game that Konami put out, I would say, from nostalgia purposes, people are really high in nostalgia. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, people. Again, it's one of the fan-favorite wrestling arcade games of all time. But to me, after playing this game once again, it doesn't hold up well, and it's mediocre to average at best. Alright guys, so we are officially out of time. So for Matt Riley, I'm Juan Cena. Have a good night.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man. That's it, man. Game over, man.